Good morning everyone. This is Kailin Kamikawa. As the next South Korean presidential election in March 2022 approaches, as a candidate for the Democratic Party of Korea, the ruling party of South Korea, the current governor of Gyeonggi Province, Lee Jae-myung, has been elected. What is this? It's been known for a long time that Lee Jae-myung has a lot of suspicions, right? Why is such a person elected to the presidential election? Are all Koreans innocent Tawaki, who do not reflect on choosing Moon Jae-in? I was a little wondering, so I did some research. Lee Jae-myung, born December 22, 1964, 56 years old. Korean politician, lawyer, civil activist. He was the 19th and 20th mayor of Sungnam City, Gyeonggi Province, July 1, 2010 to March 15, 2018. He has served as the 35th governor of Gyeonggi Province, July 1, 2018 to October 25, 2021. Upbringing. Born in Andong-gun, Gyeongsangbuk-do, currently Andong-si. The fifth of 7 siblings in Rian-Mayan village. While he works as a boy, he passed the junior high and high school graduation exams for 6 years until 1981. During this time, he was exempted from military service because he was judged to have a disability of 6 due to an occupational accident. In 1986, he graduated from Chuo University, a private school in South Korea, a school affiliated with Chuo University in Japan, a master's course in law. He passed the bar exam, completed his judicial training in 1989 and became a lawyer. On June 2, 2010, he re-challenged the 5th national simultaneous local elections for Mayor Jonan from the Democratic Party and was elected. He became the 19th mayor of Jonan. On June 4, 2014, he ran for the mayor of Jonan in the 6th national simultaneous local elections from the New Political Democratic Union and was re-elected. He became the 20th mayor of Jonan. He ran for the party's primary election to select the official candidate for the Democratic Party of Korea in the 2017 presidential election. He was defeated by Moon Jae-in. A scandal has already been discovered when he was mayor of Jonan. He told health center directors, psychiatrists, etc., the crime of instructing his brother to be hospitalized, obstruction of exercising his right to abuse his authority, at TV debates held ahead of the 2018 unified local elections. I have never tried to force his brother to be hospitalized. He was charged with making false statements to the effect, publication of false facts under the Public Offices Election Act. Both the first and second trials were acquitted of his abuse of authority, but he was not guilty of disclosing false facts. A fine of 3 million won, about 270,000 yen, which will be invalidated in the second trial, has been sentenced. However, on July 16, 2020, the Supreme Court of Korea abandoned the second instance judgment, which was partially guilty, in the appeal judgment. The trial was remanded to the Suwon High Court. As a result, Lee is spared the danger of being invalidated. On October 16, the same year, he was acquitted in a remand trial decision at the Suwon High Court. In addition, in the residential land development and development project of Osho-dong, which was started in 2015 by the mayor of Jonan, a joint effort between the public and private sectors, it surfaced that a specific company was making a profit far exceeding the investment ratio. A 100% shareholder of the company is a former reporter who knows Lee and is suspected of having an adhesion. It has been pointed out that B may have known that the company would obtain excessive profits from the business planning stage. The prosecution has arrested a former executive of the Municipal Urban Development Corporation, who is said to be an aide to Lee, on charges of back office and bribery. In response, Lee insisted that former executives are not aides. It's a business in which the city has regained the rights that were monopolized by corrupt vested interests. Is killing Lee Jae-myung by the conservative media and the opposition? He consistently denies his involvement in injustice. In addition to this, there are suspicions of affair with an actress and a criminal record of drunk driving. Other candidates have criticized him during the primary as a moral problem. Is such a scandal-filled person a presidential candidate? That's why you might think, are you crazy? The attitude toward Japan is also abnormal. On November 9, 2015, in his official Twitter account, for the Comfort Women's Grandmothers Who Became Sex Slaves of the Japanese Army, the Park Geun-hye administration forced the local government to stop giving money. It's a worse brutal measure than Japan, which denies and turns away. President Park Chung-hee, who was originally a Japanese military officer and created a U.S. military comfort woman by imitating the Japanese military comfort women. This brutal measure of the Park Geun-hye administration against the Japanese comfort women is it really unrelated to Park Chung-hee's U.S. military comfort women? I am sending. It was in December 2016, in response to interviews with media companies. Although Japan is an important neighbor, it is an enemy nation, in terms of military affairs. It shows the recognition that Japan has not eliminated its military hostility to South Korea. Also, regarding the Japan-Korea agreement on the comfort women issue, comfort women, consensus against the victims must be completely reviewed. I expressed my view. In 2017, on his own Facebook, Japan is a hostile nation. If it becomes a military power, the first target of attack will be the Korean Peninsula. And attracted attention. At the ceremony of the 99th March 1st Movement anniversary held at Jonan City Hall on March 1, 2018, Japan wiped out the indigenous culture of our people during the colonial era. The economic invasion caused harsh trials and committed a barbaric act that crushed many patriots. Nevertheless, Japan has not yet admitted its mistakes. Rather, he makes daily delusions claiming Dokdo sovereignty. I haven't even apologized to the comfort women victims. He denounced Japan and said, "There is no mercy without remorse. In order to move into the future, we must clean up past mistakes and responsibilities." Is calling for new measures from the Japanese government. It was a law of history that the invading nation was divided and occupied in return. Unfortunately, Japan is not divided. As a result, he believes that Japan, not the Korean Peninsula, should have been divided. In July 2019, when Japan announced a review of export conditions for semiconductor manufacturing materials, with a first prize of 5 million won, we solicited ideas for domestic production of semiconductor material equipment. About this policy from the right-wing party, the Liberty Korea Party, at that time, I'll do it without thinking about anything that comes to my mind. There have been criticisms such as, why don't you try the Nobel Prize through open recruitment? October 2, 2020, Yoshihide Suga expressed his disappointment on Facebook that he was appointed Prime Minister of Japan. He denied Japan's political intervention in the recruitment decision on the recruitment litigation issue. Also, the comfort women issue, apologies for true reconciliation are heartfelt until the victim forgives and says it's enough. Is saying. On November 2, 2020, the Tokyo Shimbun of Japan published an interview article with Lee Jae-myung. There is a view that I am hostile to Japan, but that is not the case. Korea and Japan are closely related and cannot be ignored by each other. Denied the hostile attitude toward Japan. On the other hand, he touched on the problem of recruitment work and said, because it is a problem created by humans, there must be a way to solve it. However, South Korea has the principle of separation of powers. He emphasized that political intervention in the judiciary is not possible. On March 1, 2021, on the occasion of Independence Movement Day declared that, the pro-Japanese faction will be exposed and the remnants of the Japanese Empire will be liquidated. The Republic of Korea is repulsed by pro-Japanese forces that have maintained vested interests even after liberation. I lost the opportunity to settle the remnants of Japanophilia. The effect is still there, and when I forget it, it revives like a poisonous mushroom. I couldn't settle them properly because of the delusions of the remnants of Japanophilia. After severely denying the incompleteness of the pursuit of Japanophilia so far, specifically, this year will be the first year of pro-Japanese liquidation, in Gyeonggi Province, and the history will be restored correctly. Installation of a Japanophilia Memorial Information Board to inform the traces of 257 pro-Japanese people. Investigation of place names forcibly renamed by the Empire of Japan. Construction of pro-Japanese remnants archive. We will strive to prevent the forces that have abandoned the community because of their vested interests from regaining power. He also announced a plan to prevent pro-Japanese factions from working again in South Korea. Also at the end of the same month regarding the fact that the textbook of a Japanese high school stated that Takeshima is a territory peculiar to Japan. On Facebook, we have to look back on ourselves why Japan is in constant decline. If the Japanese government denies the past and distorts history and invites itself to isolation like the lost decades became the lost 30 years, not far in the 21st century, Japan will fall into a developing country. In May 2021, the government of Japan regarding the matter of establishing a policy to release treated water contained in tritium of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station to the ocean Guangdong province of China, Ho Chi Minh City of Vietnam, Primorskaya Oblast of Russia, Washington, Hawaii, California, USA, to 25 local governments in 12 Pacific coastal countries, including Queensland, Australia. He sent a letter, such as by email, requesting that the Japanese government jointly deal with the release of treated water into the ocean. In this letter, Lee talked about the policy of the Japanese government. A serious crime against humanity and nature. A serious threat to global marine environmental safety. I blamed him. He also sent a letter to Hiroshi Kajiyama, Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry, and Masao Uchibori, Governor of Fukushima Prefecture. If you stick to the Fukushima contaminated water discharge plan to the end despite the concerns and anger of the international community, Japan will have to take full responsibility for it. We requested that the policy of releasing treated water be withdrawn. June 2021. Noting that Takeshima is listed as Japanese territory on the official website of the Tokyo Olympics, he insisted that the Olympics should be boycotted. At a press conference held on July 2, 2021, Japan, an invading nation, should have been divided, not the Korean peninsula. After repeating the previous theory of forgiveness is what the victim does, not the perpetrator, he said. Also in the same month, Japan had a dream of expanding into the continent. Japan claims Takeshima, Korean name, Dokdo, sovereignty. This is because it is intended to be a tripwire when making a military advance into the continent. He insisted that military vigilance against Japan should not be neglected. Are you okay again? Most recently, on November 22, 2021, he promised to revise the Medical Care Act and change the name, Obstetrics and Gynecology, to Women's Health Medicine. Candidates are, it is extremely difficult for unmarried women to go Tosembinka, Obstetrics and Gynecology. This is because there is a prejudice that it is a hospital for married women, such as pregnancy and childbirth. According to the results of an actual poll, more than 80% of unmarried women, obstetrics and gynecology is hesitant compared to general hospitals, he said. Then, the name, obstetrics and gynecology, is the remnants of the Japanese colonial era that called women, women. By the anachronistic perception that women's illnesses are still called women's illnesses, underage and unmarried women have not cured their illness. Candidate B said, in the past, to improve awareness of medical treatment subjects, pediatrics has been changed to pediatrics and youth, and psychiatry has been changed to mental health medicine. We will improve the system in detail and prepare to prevent confusion in the field. Also, beginning with the name change, regardless of marriage, childbirth, or age, we will build a medical environment that all women can use with peace of mind. On the other hand, when writing in Korean Hangul, female and wife cannot be distinguished. Recently, Lee Jae-myung said, the Korea-US-Japan military alliance can be very dangerous. It is also treated as a problem child by the United States. Well, it's a wonderful Korean-specific so-called hater, stupid. It seems that the approval rating has been declining recently, but it is still close to 30%. It is none other than the Korean people themselves who are trying to raise politicians like this. You might conclude that the funny thing is not the politician, but the Korean people. That's all.